Okay, guys, welcome to Trainer Talk episode 2 with the delightful Kat Clark. Say hello, Kat.
Hello. Hello.
So, I think we should. Me and Kat have just been chatting before we came live to you guys about what we're going to cover and stuff. And we're from literally opposite worlds. Like Kat's dogs are crazy good at running through tunnels and over A-frames, and my dogs eat people. So we're going to have a nice contrast tonight, I think. I guess we'll start by how you got into this world, Kat, and where did it all start? Where are you now?
So my parents weren't dog people at all, and I became obsessed with dogs from my sister. I was like 4 years old, and she was nagging them for a dog, and we got a pet dog. He was a Tibetan Terrier, and we just bought him from a random breeder. And I was too young, so they didn't take me to training classes, but they said that he failed every class that he did. I don't know how many classes he did, but I know he wasn't very good at puppy classes and wasn't very good at adolescent classes, and they were just embarrassed and they didn't want to go anymore. And we were kind of following like a dominance type style training with him, and we didn't know any better. And then one day when I was about 10 or 11, my dad came across some people training agility. We'd given up with dog training by this point.
Yeah, that doesn't work. This is rubbish.
No, that's fun. I'll just keep him on lead, bless him. So we came across these people doing agility, and we didn't know what it was. So he was on his bike, he cycled back and told me about it, and then we went over. It was only like 10 minutes away, which for that time was really good, considering how far we always travel for training and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
We asked what it was, and they said it was agility, and then the next week they let us come along. And because they didn't have a recall, I probably spent about 6 months of them telling me right, you've let him off lead, you need to go and run in the opposite direction and reward him once he gets to you. And I spent 6 months of that rather than doing a jump. so credit to them for putting up with me, and then we kind of realised that he didn't want to do it. But my parents so we started borrowing obviously go to a border collie. So we found my mum's friend had a border collie cross. I think she was retriever or either golden or lab, I don't actually know. So I started training her, competed with her until she got to grade 3. So for anyone who doesn't know, with kennel club agility, it's grades 1 to 7. And once you get to grade 7, you're eligible for championship classes. And then if you get 3 wins at champ, you get agility champion kennel club name. So I sort of...
One minute.
Okay, sorry.
There's 7, just for everyone else watching, I ain't got a clue about agility.
Yeah.
At all. Drew's watching that. Drew knows who you are, actually. I'll message you later about it. I can't remember. Drew, put in the question box where you met Kat. So there's 1 to 7 just at normal level.
So grade 1 is one level. Grade 2 is the next level. So in order to progress, in grade 1 you have to have 1 first place in an agility class, and then you get to grade 2. And then it's the same to grade 3, I think. And then once you get to grade 3, you need a certain amount of wins, and then it gets a little bit harder, basically. So you progress through the amount of wins that you've had, or the amount of first places.
Right,
sorry.
okay.
That makes sense?
So if I go to an agility class to watch, then what would the difference look like to an outsider from 1 to 7? How would that be different?
That is a good question. I would generally expect grade 1 dogs to be a little bit slower. You probably won't see as much consistency. I'm generalising here, I don't mean to offend anybody. Grade 7 dogs tend to have a lot of kind of power, because I think there's very few people that have actually trained one dog from grade 1 to grade 7. Usually they'll get to grade maybe 3 to 5, and then they'll have a puppy, and then they'll get to grade 7 from there through their experience. Grade 7 dogs tend to have like consistency in knowing what they're doing, like really strict criteria of their behaviour. Grade 1 dogs may miss their contact, stuff like that. I promise I'm generalising, and I don't mean to offend any grade 1 handlers. But the cool thing about Kennel Club is that, although it's a bit controversial at the moment, is that once you reach grade 3, you as a person, as a handler, stay in grade 3. So any new dog that you bring out goes to grade 3 rather than all the way back to the beginning, just so that because I'm slightly more experienced than someone starting out straight away with no dog training experience in grade 1, we can go from there.
Why is that controversial at the moment? Because that makes perfect sense to me. Like, you're training the dog. If me and you went and did grade 1 with a brand new dog, I'm going to get bullied.
I think it's a problem just because of the way the grades are working at the moment. So I don't want to get into it too much because I don't even fully understand it. But grade 3 tends to get a lot of dogs in it. And then with medium and small dogs, it's quite easy to win up, and it's a whole can of worms that
Politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Politics and religion are 2 things we should not speak about.
Yeah. So
anyway, where did you get to? You got the dog and started competing. The collie.
Oh yeah. So I was borrowing.
No, the retriever.
Yeah, I was borrowing my mum's friend's dog. The same family, so her same friend, then got a lurcher, and that's how I ended up in sight hounds. He unfortunately died really young. He got skin cancer at 3, I think, and he was put to sleep just before he was 4. But the retriever lived for quite a long time, and she took me to grade 3, and I retired her because she was quite old. And then I got Pogo. She was a rescue puppy from Lurcher Link, so she was born into what?
Pogo. She's there. You need to tell people who Pogo is.
What? Oh, Toast will respond to whoever I talk to. So, Pogo, what can you do? Can you wave? The only one that doesn't do anything. Okay, I'll leave them to it. What did I just say?
You got Pogo.
Oh yeah, I just got Pogo from Lurcher Link, and the idea was that she would compete, but she ended up with so many health problems, and I wasn't in a position to get another dog. So this is literally my life story. I'm very sorry about this. Then I got Tegan. I just rehomed her, but she lost an eye, so I haven't had much luck with health issues. And then I finally got Toast, and now finally, after 8 years, I'm actually back at competing. So. Although I've been in agility. You were, sorry?
Toast level 4 now.
Yeah, he's just went into grade 4, yeah. So he's got a little bit of a way to go because he's not the most mature dog in the world, as you've just seen. So.
No, and obviously people watching won't see your videos, but he's taken a long time to do things that you would usually find easy on him. Yes,
yeah. Even, so Pogo has degenerative disc disease, and when I didn't know that she had that, I was training her, and even when she had that, she was easier than he's been, so it's a little bit difficult, although he's gone to sleep now. Good boy.
Oh, I've just got a message from Drew saying that he can hear us, but he can't see us. Kev, will you drop me a message, please, mate, and let me know if you can see us? Kev, as you... Oh, you watched this yesterday, didn't you, Kat? So Kev's the guy who bred and trained the Rottweiler.
Okay.
Oh, he's messaging me now, I think. Come on, Kev, don't let me down. Oh, Khaleesi, what are you doing? Why are you trashing that? Oh, it's fine, his end. Drew, this is something to do with you. Cheers, Kev. So, story of Kat Clark, complete.
Yeah.
Next. Oh, you wanted to talk about fitness and mental and physical health. This intrigues me massively.
I probably worded that a little bit wrong, but I think we tend to hear sometimes in agility of people. I don't actually know what it's like for you guys, to be fair. I don't know if fitness is a big thing for you and how you do that, but it's really important to us that we don't train agility too much.
Okay.
I think it was world champion, I think it's Natasha Wise, that said that dogs only have so many jumps in them, basically, so don't overtrain them. So a big thing for fitness for us would be walking is probably the most important. But also I'm obsessed with kind of rest days. I know that sounds silly from a
No,
sport
I
obsessed.
agree completely. I put a post up yesterday about rest days. Usually every 10th day, my dogs literally lay down for 24 hours, other than to pee and poo. That's it.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit obsessed with it, and twice a week mine have like a chill day where they can still have comms and stuff, they can still play in the house and whatever, but there is, oh, let's say the seventh day for me where they don't do anything, they have to sleep.
Like, is the state that they're in right now behind you all day? Is that all they do?
Pretty much. I mean, you can't see Tegan, but she's, I don't know if I can, she's literally curled up in a ball.
Oh, next to Toast.
Yeah. Not good on the black background behind her. But I learned that I went on a seminar with two Rugars, and I don't know, oh, okay. I think she's Norwegian, and she kind of discovered or popularized calming signals.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
And because I started to learn about behaviour when I left school, I was obsessed with calming signals. I absolutely loved them. But when I went to her seminar, I did not realise how extreme she is. She doesn't believe in exercising dogs at all, to any level.
Whoa.
She believes in...
What's her philosophy behind that? Like, you can never exercise your dog? Does she want to try and live with this idiot?
I don't want to misquote her, to be fair, but I did recently go back because it was like 2011 that I did this seminar, so I was a little bit concerned that if I said anything about her that it isn't true today, she might change her mind for any reason. Yeah. But yeah, I did see that recently she still feels the same way, and basically she thinks that by getting adrenaline up, it's harder for her to... You all right there?
Yeah, I'm good.
By getting adrenaline up, it's actually harder for dogs to bring their adrenaline levels down than it is our own adrenaline levels.
Okay.
So she thinks just really like taking dogs on walks where all they do is sniff and just don't have any running or anything like that. Yeah, I know. So I came away from that quite frustrated, but I did actually... I don't want to say see some truth in it, but I started to see certain things with my own dogs that I realised, oh, actually, this is kind of helping. So just things like she suggested, if you want to run your dogs, the best thing to do is give them something to chew when they come home. So like a proper cool down mentally as well as physically.
Yeah.
And I've started incorporating that, and now, with the exception of Toast, who has literally just left the room and is proving me wrong about sleeping all day on the sofa, then my dogs are actually really, really chilled all day, even with 2 rest days a week. So, yeah, I'm quite... Yeah, sorry.
Did the mental cool down change that a lot? You know, with the giving them something to do when they came back?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We've kind of seen a pattern, whereas if we walk our dogs every day, Toast in particular, he just goes mental. If I come home from work, he'll greet me. But this is another thing, I work full time, so I don't know if I was around all the time if it would be different, but if I walk them every single day, he fully expects even more exercise the next day, so it makes him crazier. Whereas when we bring him down a level, he's kind of like, okay, yeah, I can sleep, that's fine, I don't mind.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, I need to try this, and even if it's just out of, you know, for curiosity's sake. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he does get a bit annoying sometimes.
Oh yeah.
When I learned about this, I just had OKGO, and when I suggested this to other people, I wasn't giving advice, I just wanted to talk about the topic. People were like, "Oh no, you've got whippets, so they're lazy. You can't possibly understand." And I was like, "Right, okay." And then I got a working Cocker Spaniel. Yeah. That looks crazily like Tegan. Oh, hey. She's like, "Please leave me alone."
That's literally all he does for 7 weeks at a time, and then occasionally he'll go out on a walk out of duress. He's like, I really don't want to go on this.
You're cute though, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess now you've got a working cocker, you've got a bit more clout behind your point, haven't you?
Yeah. And when I first got him, everyone was like, "You do know what you've just bought, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah," because I did buy him on a bit of a whim. And they were like, "You do know cockers are crazy," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And to be fair, for the first 8 months, he didn't really sleep. Oh, but he's all right now. He does actually chill.
So you're ahead of me. We're 2.5 years in, and she still doesn't sleep ever.
Really? But I've never had him out before,
Very rarely.
so I can't prove that theory with shepherds, unfortunately. But it seems to have worked with him. So
I'm going to try it anyway. What's next on our agenda? Oh, training philosophies.
Okay.
The only person in here that falls in my category. Oh, Drew. Drew uses a bit of positive punishment. Kev uses a bit.
Okay.
I don't know about Sarah, so.
Okay.
Apologies, people.
I could never ever call myself purely positive. I don't think that exists ever. But I do, where possible, always use reward-based. And I think the most negative that I am would be no reward markers. That's about it. Having said that, when I had Pogo, I was close to purely positive. I don't think that exists, but I was as close as you possibly can be. And then I got a second dog, and then I got a third dog, and I kind of realised, like, oh, 3 dogs are slightly more like difficult than 1 dog. So your training start. Well, I don't know about other people, but oh my God, what's happening?
She's breathing, alive. Like, this is normal.
I started to realise that kind of my training started to lax because I had to control 3 dogs and not just I can just put all my energy into 1 now.
Yeah, right.
So I've started to do things like say no in the house, even though they don't know what it means and they don't care, they just ignore me. So there's not much point. But,
you think that comes a bit out of frustration? Like, you're really annoying me now. You've been doing this for an hour.
Yeah.
Please stop it.
Yeah. I'm very rarely like horrible. It's usually like a please stop it. But Pogo in particular will just be like, I've spent at least 5 years of my life with you never saying no to me, so therefore I don't care. So yeah, but I do try to be positive, and the reason is that I spent a long time, granted I didn't know what I was doing, but I did spend a long time following dominance methods. Not that I'm comparing those who use positive punishment to dominance methods. I know they're unnecessary. Yeah. But I did also use positive punishment, and I realise now, at the time, I had that retriever cross collie, and especially in agility, I was very lucky that she was just a very sweet dog. If I tried to do that with the whippets, they would just be like, as they are.
No, thank you.
I don't care. I think if you're going to use, like, I mean, we spoke about Rob yesterday that you were speaking to with balance training. I don't do any security work, so I would never, ever claim to know anything about it. I think if you're going to use balance stuff and it's consistent, then that's a hell of a lot better than bad positive punishment.
Well, yeah, I agree, because I think it's like Rob said yesterday. I think the idea of people that do use positive punishment, the idea that it's not an emotional response to a behaviour, it's a, hey, go do this.
Yeah.
End of discussion. Like, I'm not angry with you, because as soon as, I'm sure Kev will back me up here because he knows Flack incredibly well. If I discipline Flack with positive punishment out of anger or frustration, he either growls at me or flat out ignores my existence. He's just like, I don't do this, obviously, but I could get that dog and throw him through the window and he'd just be like,
huh?
or he'll growl at me, like, don't do that. I don't appreciate your behaviour.
I think
so as soon as I act from an emotional standpoint, it just breaks. Cool.
Yeah, I think that my dogs would be upset by it, but I get everything that I need to get out of force-free training without a problem. So yeah, so the most that I will use is no reward markers, and I kind of forgotten what I was going to say on this topic. I think
it was about force-free being closed-minded.
Oh yeah, so what I just wanted to touch on what Rob said yesterday, and I don't want to quote him or anything like that, but I think he kind of implied that if you go or to one extreme, which maybe you would consider yourself calling yourself force-free training is an extreme, that you're kind of stuck and that you're not being open enough to enough methods and stuff like that. And I 100% understand where he's coming from. But in my opinion, force-free and reward-based is 1 million different methods like that you can use. So I'm going to use agility as an example. So if you're looking at contacts, so that's I literally have no idea how much anybody knows about agility, so I'm really sorry if I'm patronizing you.
Yeah, surprisingly, I know. I think everybody will know what a contact is.
If we're looking at the dog walk, which is like a bridge, and say we're going to do running contacts, which I've never taught myself, but I'm fully aware, there is like 1 million different methods to do running contacts. I can name at least 7. Or with weaving, I can name 6 different methods to weaving. And even when you're teaching weaves, and I got really stuck with Toast, he couldn't, we just didn't gel when we were trying to teach him to weave. I then had to think up my own method, and I was able to do that without using corrections. Aversive corrections anyway, because I guess no reward marker is still a correction. But yeah, so personally, when it comes to reward-based training, I get everything that I can out of it, and I don't need anything. So yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah, I like it. And nobody's annoyed.
Yay!
Oh yeah, that's something we might start with. Black, you're kidding me. Relax. Calm your passions, lie down. Bloody animal. You have a whippet doing agility, which is, I guess, as far as the world's concerned, not a thing.
Not a thing.
Expand on difficult breeds.
Yeah, so Pogo is really hard to describe, because the problem with Pogo is that because she had something physically wrong with her, 1 minute she would be driven and crazy and want to bite my hands and the toy, and then the next she would be like massively displacing, and she would be sniffing the ground as if I just kicked her or something ridiculous and really over dramatic. And that's kind of what our journey was like for a long time. But when I realised that it was because she was in pain, I'm just going to keep talking, by the way, I have no idea if you were still here. When I realised that she was in pain...
Keep talking. I'm putting the shepherd away and getting the Rottweiler out, so yeah, keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, when she was in pain, I realised that actually she was ridiculously driven. Like, she used to come out the car and she'd be bouncing in my face, ready to go. It was just that it hurt her to jump, which is horrific, and I hate myself for the fact that I put her through that, but I didn't know at the time, and it certainly made me learn from it. So I do actually think it's possible to do. The problem is when it comes to border collies, generally they're a hell of a lot nicer on you and a hell of a lot easier, because I guess they're bred to kind of work away and want to work for you, whereas whippets are bred to work away and not care about you and stay away. So if Pogo wasn't in pain when I was training her, I think she would have been very easy. So, oh, wonderful. Thumb in the face. So yeah, and then moving on to Toast is a totally different thing altogether. So, well, I don't know where he's gone.
Awesome. I did listen to it. I can hear that because I've got my speakers on.
That's okay.
Oh, my phone's over there. I need my phone for the next questions.
Okay.
Black, come on. You're gonna...
Oh my god. How much does he weigh?
About 42, I think. But again, Kev will back me up here. Rottweilers have got this ability to turn 42 into 700 when you lay down. They just got dead.
Toast has a similar thing, but at least he's smaller, so I get away with it a little.
Oh, this is a question from me. I'm going to explain briefly. You can explain better. You put a video up with Toast on the wobble board about weight distribution.
Yeah. What was it? So my dogs have a physio, and I always take them to her every so often. And she basically said she noticed that the way he was sat. I'm going to try and demonstrate. The way he was most dogs would sit like that, but he was sitting like this with his arms completely, legs, what are they called? Legs, paws.
Legs.
Legs completely under him, so much so that his chest was actually leaning forward. And this, even though he had a good core and a good rear, he was using his front for jumping, and that is just, it just doesn't work. He needs to engage with his whole body. So she was like, you need to stop with the clicker training, where you are shaping your dogs where, you know, when they go mental and want to throw a load of stuff at you. And she's like, you need to stop doing that and teach him to be slow in every single thing that he does. And I was like, oh.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay. So I switched to the rough wear front range harnesses, because if he's on a D-ring at the beginning, it brings his shoulders back slightly and he starts to walk more leveled. And with the Toto Fit thing, just plugging my sponsor, Touch and Go Canine here, with the Toto Fit.
We'll go away. What we call Touch and Go Canine?
Fit stuff. He was just kind of learning to, rather than stand on the wobble boards and lean forwards, he's slowly learning to kind of engage the rest of his body and rotate backwards. So it's all very complicated, and we've all got a lot to learn about our dog's physique, and sometimes it's a bit much. But yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So
basically, go on.
Do you have anything like that in the security work and stuff like that? Like, what do you guys do for fitness? And
I think as far as actual security dogs go, other than me, Kev, and about 5 others, not many people are really into their training, you know, fitness, what their dog's actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, again, I'm stereotyping as well. A lot of people will just go to a site with a dog because it's £3 an hour more than without a dog. So it's just a tool in a box.
Okay.
Get it out, walk it around, put it away. Probably don't even know the dog's name, some of them. But the sport world, you know, the trials and stuff, they're a lot more into it. Slap mills are big. You know what a slap mill is, right? Like, I'll send you a link afterwards, but it's like a manual treadmill. It's like wooden slats around rollers.
Okay.
And the dog can run like really flat.
Kept
messaging about fitness too. Oh, he does barking work to improve cardiovascular system.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, see that
like that.
Part of our warm-ups. I have opted not to do that because I know that my dogs will start barking a lot. However, I have a lot of friends that do that, especially when you're in the queue, because the way that we queue when we're about to run is they can be sort of, again, it's not a brilliant system, but obviously we're doing the best we can. There might be 10 dogs before you and you have to just stand there static with your dog, and then they're about to do a 30-second run, which is quite intense. So what we tend to do is I'm very lucky that I've got my boyfriend that can queue for me and I can go off and try and get him moving. But yeah, I think my friend, not necessarily intentionally, but she certainly does the barking thing as well. So maybe that's something I should consider. I'm a little bit scared about that one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with agility, because I imagine the atmosphere is crazy high, so the dogs are all going to be crazy high anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And two balling, yeah, I do a lot of that. So ball out, bring it back, ball out, bring it back, ball out, bring it back.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so on the return, the other ball goes out. So there's just constant sprint working.
Okay.
And then I guess just bite work, just you know, grip work on the suits for them to have the ability to be fit in a bite, because that's a very different game. They get tired on the bite, they get chewy, and Kev's writing again. I imagine this is going to be something else to do with fitness. I really hope it is, Kev.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I was saying on the bite, the dog has to learn. This is from Kev. Lisa, sure. The dog has to learn to breathe through its nose. You know, because obviously they've got a full mouth of arm or leg or.
Okay, yeah.
So teaching that, a lot of people when they put the dogs in a slap mill or put a tug in their mouth or a pillow, so they have to breathe through their nose. They struggle.
Okay.
Kev, I'm sure you had flack doing it, but over not being worked for however long he's not been worked for, he's really struggling with it at the moment. whereas my shepherd does it brilliantly.
Okay.
It's just time on the bike for me. But yeah, we're into all that. Handler focus. That's all I've written down, and I can't remember for the life of me why.
I think that's all I said to you. So I think a big difference between our sports is that I'm assuming in yours you pretty much want like 100% attention on your body, I guess. If that makes sense.
Especially in obviously when they're engaging with the decoy, it's different, but all of it up to that, I want this.
Yeah.
You know, constantly.
See, we don't want that. We so kind of
less.
It's hard because, and I think this is where agility maybe is considered. What is the word that I want to use? I think people tend to think it's easier than it is. We want our dogs to not only pay attention to us in like the side of, oh, your colours have changed. Did you do that unintentionally?
Yeah, I was looking at that and I don't know why. What have I done?
Don't know. Okay, there you go. Okay. We want them to be like looking at us in the corner of their eye, but they need to be able to target whatever equipment is in front of them and not pay too much attention to us. So it's quite demanding. But I guess it's the opposite for you guys in most respects, in that you get to just have them just paying attention to you straight up. So agility is quite hard.
So how do you teach? How do you? Because I was one of the guilty few that's like, oh, agility, that looks easy. The dogs run through a tunnel. And then I started talking to Drew about it, and he's talking about crosses and weaves and all this crap that just goes way over my head. And then I saw a video, and I want to ask you, but I'm really hoping your answer to this is just yes, because then we'll brush on it later. Okay. I don't know what the woman's called. There's a video sponsored on Facebook at the moment, and it's got like 1 trillion views. And she's talking about the dog goes through a tunnel, over an A-frame, and then over a jump, and it's about turning after the jump.
Okay. Do you know who posted it? No?
Drew messaged me. Drew, who posted that video, because I really wanted to bring it up because it's really good. Drew, will you go on the search for the video, please? Because and then I'll send you it and you can watch it and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Why was I getting into that? Oh yeah, I was one of the guilty people, you know, that was like, oh, that looks pretty easy. But then I looked at all other sports and I was like, oh, it's hard. I don't know what. Flaky cat's on the ground. Oh, God. I need to see what's going on here.
Have you not got control over your dogs?
No, not all. What were we next?
I think, I had something to say and I can't remember. What did you just say?
We were talking about people being guilty of thinking, oh, that's easy.
I thought the same with flyball. Because, come on, they just go over 4 jumps and they collect a ball and then they go all the way back. And then I did flyball and I realised how technical it is, where dogs aren't just running full speed, they have to put in a certain amount of stride, so they have to hit certain places with their paws in order to actually go the fastest that they possibly can and all that. And then with agility, you've kind of got the same thing, but with like a load of different random obstacles.
I've given up fighting against this now. It's like, this is just...
It's fine. I'm quite lucky that I'm not sat on that, otherwise I would have the same thing. But yeah, so what we tend to do is we start with something called forward focus. So I don't know if that's anything you do. I could not have a serious conversation with you right now.
Yeah, I think we're good. You just...
Okay. Yeah, so I teach that with puppies and just dogs that haven't learnt it yet. Throwing a toy out, collar grabs, but the conditioned collar grabs. So if anybody ever sees a video of me handling a collar quite tight, that is conditioned and that's for drive. That's not for me trying to rag my dog about. Throw a toy out, have them, and they're not allowed to be released until they're actually staring at it. And then they can go, and then eventually we put them in a sit weight and have the toy out, and as long as they're staring at it, they can go. And then we tend to add the crosses. So what I tend to do is I'd have my dog, I don't know how much you can see, dog behind me, and if the ball's ahead of me, I might say go, and then you might do a front cross, and you would switch in front of them.
Whoa.
No, okay. I think I'd have to send videos for this. I probably won't get it.
I'm following everything. I just don't know what a front cross is.
Okay. A front cross is when you literally change position in front of the dog.
I do know. Drew's talked to me about this. Yeah, I do know.
Yeah. So if they're on your left, you would step in front of them and like a pivot, and then they would be on your right. Yeah?
Yeah. This is what this video is about that I'm trying to tell you about that, and I can't find it.
Okay.
We can lead well onto this. I'd like you to go over, Anna, a couple of examples. You said earlier there's like 6 ways to teach a weave or something.
Mm.
So can you give us a couple? Oh, right, flat. This is not working, dude. Oh, This is the deadliest thing I was talking about.
I'm a little bit smug that you're having the problems and no, I'm not.
This is almost not even a problem anymore. This is just the reality of my life right now. Right, flat. Let's have this conversation without you. Get in there. Come on. You go. Let's sleep. Right, I've given up with the Rottweiler.
Okay.
Yeah, what about a couple of examples, you know, for 2 to teach a weave and 2 to start contacts, for example?
Okay, I'll go with weaves because contacts get a little bit boring. Okay. With weaves, there is something called V-weaves, which are quite old school, and I don't really know that many people that, perfect. Don't really know that many people that train it anymore, but again, not offending anybody who does still train it, it still works. The other one is channel, if you know what that is. Okay, yeah, you're good at this. So they're staggered.
Thanks for explaining all these to me, Drew.
All will be that. You get the dog to run through to like a toy or something, and then you slowly close them. And then the other one is called 2x2. Do you have an action for that one?
I don't have an action, but I do know what 2x2 is.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I've spoken to Drew about this a lot because I think Drew just channel weaves. I might be wrong. Do you have an action for 2x2?
Are you asking me or Drew?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay.
Drew,
no, I don't have an action. But yeah, you would just literally take 2 poles rather than the full 12, and they work on just the entry because, in case anyone doesn't know, they do have to enter the same side every single time, which is their left shoulder. So they're going in. This might be the opposite on camera. I have no idea. Their left shoulder, so they swoosh in that way. So that's another thing that's quite
on camera, by the way.
Stop! No, don't stop it. Okay, next question.
Oh yeah, that was it. There, we did that example. Cool.
Yep.
Oh, you wanted to brush on agility net.
I don't know if I wanted to. I think you brought it up.
No, you wanted to say, didn't you, to people that are either wanting to get into or are new into agility that the world's different.
Yes. And unfortunately happened to find this group before maybe they start competing. This is no...
I'll say it because I'm not in Agility Net and nobody there knows who I am. Agility Net gets really bitchy. And people put a video up and everyone's like, you're wrong, your dog's crap, my dog's better than your dog, you're going to lose, you're rubbish.
Well, actually,
the abuse is crazy.
Incidents of people being mean about videos, I guess, but for me,
you were abused in there recently.
Oh, I probably. If I'm having a bad day, that tends to be where I go.
You were abused in there.
Oh, abused, or I was rude?
No, you were abused in there for something.
I thought you were
it might not have been Agility Net, it might have been another. It was one of the political, this shouldn't be done this way anymore jobs. I'll find it for you and send you it.
Okay, I don't remember. Yeah, so I think people tend to use it as a place to talk about politics, which I don't have a problem with, and I certainly don't have a problem with social media. I love social media. But I do think it's people's responsibility to not be rude. and to get their point across, because you don't convince people of your point if you are patronising or rude. And I've been guilty of that in the past. And I'm hoping that I've learned from it. So if I'm ever rude, please feel free to call me out on it. So if you are starting agility and you come across this group and you think, oh my God, like that's really intimidating, please note that I think I checked, there's like 22,000 members in that group, and there's generally only a select few that actually comment regularly. So you don't need to worry, that's not what it's like. And even though I'm saying this, that isn't a dig on the admin or anything. I know some of the admin and they do it for free, so you know, you can't.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when there's 20,000 people in a group, it's this, all the working dog groups are the same. You know, somebody will put a video up and I think the worst one for me, and it's not just in agility, it's in everything, when people are green and new and they're like, oh, I was teaching weaves today, and then they get ripped to pieces for doing it wrong.
Yeah, I know what you mean now. I realised one of those videos have been posted, yeah.
And it's the same in the working world, you know, like people will be like, oh, I just started my dog in watching a passive man, and they're like, you're doing it wrong, and you need a better trainer, and give up, the dog's rubbish. And it's like, this is not how to get people into ASPOL.
Yeah. I think people tend to forget, like I've been in agility 12 years, and I tend to forget that someone might not know what a dog walk is. Do you know what I mean? Like it completely, even though it's not my life, it does absorb my life, if that sentence makes sense. So I think people tend to forget that since they're going with their caravans every single weekend to shows, that other people don't do that, and you can be new to something. So if you are new to agility and you do want to start competing, or you do want to be able to ask for help, then please.
Bring Cat.
Unfortunately for me, unfortunately we can't control the people who are rude on that group, but just do bear in mind they are actually the minority, even though they seem like the majority at the time. That is
so what's the vibe like at agility? You know, like let's say I get a collie and I come to my first show. What would people expect? Huh?
Obviously, you need a collie to do agility.
Yeah, for sure. I would need a miracle rather than a collie. I need to do it flat.
Okay, so yeah, you come to a show and you're a beginner, yeah?
So somebody that's brand new and just walked in, like, is it friendly? Do people chat?
Yeah, I think if you speak to people, I like to think that I'm nice if someone wants to approach me. I think it is a bit of a problem now that we're kind of, I don't know what it's like in yours either, but we don't really have clubs anymore. Like we do, but people tend to now go to successful trainers or pay for online training. So, and I prefer that personally, I learn better that way. But it does mean that when you don't have any knowledge of shows, you don't necessarily know who to go to find out how the system works.
So it's it's still clubs, but more just people that tend to train together rather than agility club. Yeah, it's become like that in ours for sure.
If you have a top trainer, usually they're training people that have been in agility a while. They won't normally take brand new dogs, brand new people. Well, not that they won't take them, but people might not know to even approach them. So yeah, definitely approach someone and just explain that you're new, because I think again, it sometimes it doesn't occur to people that they can be new, and I think generally people are very nice. Yeah, I don't really know because I don't have any new people to bring in, but I hope it's nice.
I guess it's difficult. If you've been in, I think even if you've been in the game a year, it would be quite hard to objectively see what it's like as a newcomer now, because you go to. Imagine you go to a competition and you know everyone. Hi, Fred.
Yeah.
Hi, Bob. Constant.
Yeah.
So you probably won't know what it's like to be that guy on the side, like.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I struggled with some social anxiety like years ago, and I do remember going to the show and feeling very small. But I don't think that was ever the show, and I do think if I had the confidence to go and ask someone, they would have been very nice to me. I was just scared of the world. So
I don't want to.
Yeah, I think especially if you go to the show management, so like the secretaries or whoever's working on there, provided they're not stressed out their brains from actually working and doing stuff, I think you should be absolutely fine. So yeah, don't feel scared to ask for help. Just maybe not
I think
on
that's
certain.
fair. Tell us about the top you're wearing.
Okay, yeah, so just in case anybody thinks I'm really big-headed and that I'm on Agility Team D, I am not. The Kennel Club, so I'm a graphic designer and I do specialise, that's the word that I want to use, in dog stuff. So the Kennel Club were very kind enough to message me and ask if I could do the 2017 Team GB kit. And now I'm going to continue to work for them for 2018 and so on, hopefully. But yeah, I'm not on team. Toast is only grade 4.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find my own branding top, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just stick this on. So yeah.
So that's Dinobark, right? Yeah.
It's called Dinobark Digital. We do run an app called OKGO Agility, as you posted, but we weren't very well. I wasn't very well this year, so I did kind of let it die. But we're going to try and relaunch it next year. So,
what's the point of OKGO Agility?
So the general idea is that at the moment there's nowhere. Well, I lie now because literally something got released this week. But at the moment there's nowhere to record your dog's results, and I don't know what it's like for you guys, but there's nowhere online. There's not a database.
It's exactly the same, and I think the only person in here that knows who he is Kev. So Kev, Muzz is, I'll send you a link to this as well, Kat, you'll probably quite enjoy it for it. There's a thing called Muzz TV. So that's my little shout out. It's basically it goes around all the working trials and IPO and KMPV and French Ring and training and films it all and just streams it live. It's awesome. But he's trying to set up a database where your results from these trials actually mean something in conjunction to your dog's name. You know, like Spencer has these qualifications or results. Is that what you're trying to do?
But unfortunately we don't have, the organisations in the UK weren't really interested in us what's the word, pulling data, is that the correct technical term? Yeah.
I think so. It works for me.
They weren't interested in doing that, so we kind of had to require it doing it manually. And I know that UKA, which is UK Agility, which is an organisation, has just brought their own out, which is really cool. But we kind of did that so that if you have been to a show and you win first place or whatever, you can log it and it stays there forever. And your dog has a little personal profile, but not like where you speak as if you are your dog, not that kind of thing. Please no. I mean, you can if you want, but preferably not.
I'm toast and I have 3 rosettes.
And you can register each dog and you get your own profile and stuff. But we are trying to do a course planner. You know what that is? Yeah?
Lately?
Yeah. Where you can move some jumps around and plan what you're going to do. And the other, although it's not a secret, is we do want to, this might interest working people as well, we're trying to do what's called a learning management system. So basically, if you are a dog trainer and you want to teach online, we will be a platform for you to create your own online website.
That's cool. Okay.
It's probably about a year away in terms of development. But yeah, that's what's upcoming with us, and that's about it. So.
And that's OKGO. I have a question from somebody that I don't know, but you may well do, and I've not written their name down.
Okay.
Never mind. I'll let you know after again. It says, my dog is super food motivated and not big on toys or tug. I've been trying to switch up my rewards for a while because we're starting to get into agility and she focuses more on the food than the obstacles. Do you have any suggestions or tips on how to try and change it up a bit?
Okay. So if you definitely can't get them onto food, I would still teach forward focus, which is what I described before. It's just a little bit harder with food because they have the ability to self-reward. So if you train with someone else, I would have something like a target out with food on it, and teach them to stare at the food and only be released to it when you say go. And if you train with someone else, have them obviously withhold the food if they break their stay. The other option is a ready treat from Touch and Go Canine, which once you press the button.
1 minute,
Yep.
Sorry,
Am I getting in
person's
trouble?
name I didn't write down. In fact, let me find out because it's incredibly rude in there. It was. No, not that one. Oh, it was here. It was here. It was here. Alexia Juncker. She one of yours?
Okay. I'm not sure. I hope it's not rude if I don't know that.
Oh, she's from Canada. Never mind.
Okay.
Just before we finish that, we'll answer that question properly in a second. Do you want to talk about your sponsors as well?
Oh, if I'm allowed. I don't know if they ship internationally, so therefore I'm not sure if this is very good for anybody in. Did you say Canada? Yeah.
She's in Canada. Yeah.
Okay. Touch and Go Canine are essentially, I want to say a pet shop, not really a pet shop, obviously, working dog type. I almost said clothes there, coats, furter, stuff like that, rough wear. She also has the Toto Fit stuff, which is the wobble cushions and stuff that I use for fitness, and all sorts of stuff. And then the other one is Longfield Agility Solutions, which is a contacts, an agility equipment supplier. I should have really prepped that and said it a lot better, but
so is that where you would you buy an A-frame off them or a dog walk?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But he also has mini stuff like little contact trainers where they're just little blocks, which I guess is like what is it when all the shepherd and working people make their mouths like perch on like a stool? What is that called? There's lots of, I don't know, they make them like get all little full paws on it and in a sit. They do that, I'm sure they do. Okay, ignore me, it's fine. But he provides
Maybe you do. Maybe someone else will know what you mean.
He provides a lot of training equipment basically. It's not just for contacts and stuff. So yeah. Ta-da, all done.
So yeah, go and check them guys out. I'll put links when I post this up, once it's edited. Back to that question. How does she change things up and get a tug involved, or does she have to? Is it important?
I don't think you do, personally. There are lots of trainers that would be really avid on getting a tug into it. Toast doesn't tug. He does sometimes, he doesn't other times. It depends on the environment. He's a cocker, so he's soft-mouthed, which isn't the same for every cocker, but for him it is. So I use 2 balls, and we do switch games. I can't say it without. I don't know. I don't even know if anybody else thinks a bit dirty, but every time I say it.
Well, I was just about to say, I think if you hadn't have sat there and paused on that, nobody else would have noticed anything. They would have just carried on, but you made a watch your own back there.
So he is such a jealous dog. I didn't really have to work with his switches very much because literally as soon as I have something else, he's like, "Yep, I'm having that instead." So he
this
will.
Is what Rob said yesterday, isn't it? On the dog wants what the other dog has.
Yeah. Except in Toast World, everything is me, unfortunately. So I throw a ball or whatever to reward him, and then I'll bring him back with another ball. So I tend to think that having 2 toys is really helpful. If you can't find a toy that your dog will run full speed for, that's kind of the key. Once you've found something that they will run full speed for, then I would just work with that. If it's foodie, did you say it was foodie or that it's not too bothered about?
Yeah, she said, I'm sure it was foodie. Let me check. Yeah, super food motivated. So.
Oh my god! So I would just use that. I would be quite happy with that. I know you can get the little. Have you seen the little paw pods? I don't know if they have them in Canada. They must have an equivalent where they're just a ball, but they kind of like pull apart, and you can put food in them, and then it's like velcro. Okay. But I would just use a food target personally. I think that would be a hell of a lot easier. I think I'm really cold. Sorry, I don't know if my voice is going weird. Could you put the heating on?
The window open?
The window is open. One moment, I'll be 2 seconds.
Well, that'll be why you're cold.
Okay, sorry, that was really rude. I would use a food target, and I would go back to foundation, and I would have that food target out maybe 2 meters away, and I would, oh, there's a dog. Oh, where's Lee? I would ask them to stare at the food, and then I would release, and then I would build that up, and then I would maybe ask for a trick like left or right, like a spin, and then center the food, and I would just create that forward focus to the food. The problem is self-rewarding, but if you have someone there to help you, or you can buy like a treat dispenser, then that's problem solved. So I wouldn't, if it's getting your confidence down at all that your dog won't play with toys, I wouldn't let it. I would go with what your dog loves personally. But if that person would like to say, no, I want my dog on a tug, then I can suggest more if need be. But that's my main answer, to go with what your dog likes.
So in short, stick with the food, and if you really want the dog to tug, message Kat and she'll...
yeah, okay. I mean, I might not be the best because Toast doesn't like it, and I just accept that, but I can try.
And I can't even teach you how to make a dog tug because that's all my two want to do with their life. So we have a couple of minutes. What's your goal with Toast, or is there another dog coming, or what's the plan?
My aim at the moment for next year is to get him to grade 5, maybe 6. My dream would obviously get to grade 7, but because I've never actually been there before, I'm trying to keep a level head. I'm sure he will get there, but most dogs will come out in competition and maybe have a month of getting used to the atmosphere, and then they start to get a bit more competitive, whereas he's taken a year in competition to get competitive.
Really?
I've literally got videos of him going full speed, being beautiful, amazing, and then he comes out of the tunnel and he literally just takes off. Just spaniel, and he's not stressing or anything like that.
And it's almost strange behaviour, isn't it? Like he's really into it, and he's like, I've got this, and then he just carries on.
Yeah, and at least I can recall him away from that now. But sometimes, like, my friend has a similar spaniel to him, and she's helped me loads. Her dog Bertie, who she's not my best friend Lucy. If you've got me on Facebook, you'll have seen her. Bertie will be really driven. He's amazing. He's so talented physically. It's incredible. And then in another run, in the very next run, he's like, I don't really want to do this. I'm going to sniff the floor a little bit. So they're very up and down. And I have to be careful because with Pogo, she was injured. So I'm constantly making sure that it's not a physical problem. But he doesn't give me that impression. He's just like, whoa, I like this so much. My brain's blown. Okay, now I'm back. Let's go again. So he's not too bad. He needs to smooth it out and mature a little bit, I think. But
and do you think that'll just come in? Is that just him growing up? Does he just need to grow up some more?
I think so. It was a massive shock to me because he was the most perfect puppy ever, and then he hit teenage stage and he literally forgot his name and his recall. And that sounds like such someone who isn't a dog trainer thing to say. And I was really naive. I thought, I'm a dog trainer, I'm fine, I've got experience, it's okay. And I just remember taking him out on a walk, and he wasn't even going off hunting. He was literally just, I'd recall him back to me and he would just go past me. And I would just be like, what? Why did you even bother to recall if you were just going to keep going? Why didn't you stay over there? He's better now, but he still has this kind of I'm looking everywhere type behaviour, which you don't get in the whippets. They tend to just either focus on you or not. And the other thing with sight hunters, I don't know what when you got yours, but I've tended to learn that they are really difficult until they hit 18 months, and then they tend to mature when they're okay.
Whereas we got him. He was 4 when we got him. He's an Irish racing dog, so.
I can only speak for the 2 that I've had as puppies, but they were quite difficult. They would run off and stuff, recall, until they were 18 months, and then they matured. Whereas Toast was like perfect, and then he was the opposite. And I was like, oh my god, this dog's going to be amazing. And then a month later, it's like, oh, he doesn't even know what his name is. So brilliant. But yeah, he has got a lot better.
Was that a big culture shock to you then? Were you like?
Massive, and a massive. What's the opposite of confidence booster? What do I mean? Confidence knocker?
I know what you mean, but I don't have a word either.
Yeah, my confidence went down loads with him, and I still find myself making excuses like, oh yeah, he did really well, but this happened, and I think I need to mentally not do that. But it is quite helpful to talk about it, like with Lucy, because she's been through the same stuff. It's quite nice to discuss it, but I am a little bit conscious that sometimes I come across like I'm complaining about him, but that isn't my intention because I love him a lot. Although I am a little bit...
You don't give me that vibe anyway from the post. Okay. It's always very much, you did this really well, we need to fix this.
Okay, good. That's fine.
The emphasis is definitely on the you did this bit really well. Stop being an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not that subtle about it, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. All right, that's we're an hour in, so I'll let you get off.
Okay.
I'll speak to you on Facebook later on.
Okay.
If anyone's got any more questions for Kat, drop me a message. I'll send you her details, and you can harass her instead.
Cool. This was nice. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming, Kat.
Oh, thank you.
Right, we'll see you all soon, guys.
Bye.